What's happening, everybody? My name is Raheem Curry, aka Blessed. Today I'm going to be going through a breakdown video of my one of my first sort of animations I've done on my Instagram. I've called it Moon's Embrace. It's a short animation. It's about 11-12 seconds long. The idea of it was just well, it sort of developed as I created it, but the initial idea was a moon shining on like a figure, and the figure being a silhouette and casually just well, not casually but going towards the moon as though it's flying, as though the person is flying towards the moon. So that was my idea, but then it sort of developed into like a werewolf transformation thing with like audio and stuff like that. But let me just get into the breakdown. It's not going to be too long because to be honest, I already recorded this, but it was like, I think it was above 60 minutes, and for Instagram it's I think IGTV's got like a 15-minute limit, so I had to basically, I'm recording it again, and I'm gonna not go too in depth, I'm trying to keep it short, but from this you should understand a bit of the process, a bit of the ideas that went into it, and it might help you in your own sort of creation if you've got animations that you want to do. So just to begin, like a little disclaimer, this is my first breakdown video, so it's not, there's probably going to be some problems, maybe with audio, maybe with the video quality, I don't know, like it's the first one. Let me just adjust that there. Yeah, so feedback would be great. Like I said, it's the first one, so just bear with me. Hopefully it'll get better as it goes along. And what I'm recording it in is a new piece of software that I've downloaded. It's OBS, and it's like a broadcasting / streaming software. So I've got to get used to that as well. So let's just get into it now. So just to start off, first I had, obviously the hand silhouette was my beginning idea, right? So to do that, I had to use a reference, which is actually, it's my own hand, which I used as a reference. If I bring it up now, you can see there, I mean, it's a bit faded because I had to draw over it. You can see that's my hand, my left hand, and just the video, if I play it back, normal speed, come on. Just a video, I've slowed it down. But that's just my hand, so I use that as a reference, and it's really slow right now, but I brought it into After Effects later on and sped it up because that otherwise it looks slow motion. But all the end processing was in After Effects anyway. So after I've got the the video reference, I drew over it every 5th frame, which is the reason why it's pretty slow. But literally that's it. If I play it normal speed, you can see each frame pretty clearly. So somehow I had to speed it up, which is when I brought it into After Effects, right? The next thing that I actually did was the moon, because those were my main focal points, the moon and the hand. First, yeah, so I did like these squiggles, the like shadow lines, and the the craters in the moon with these squiggles here. I did that first. So you probably can't see my layers tab, I don't know why it doesn't show it. If I turn these off, right, if I go like that, you can see how I did that, right? So each one is literally, it's just a shapely, I can move it, I can do whatever I want with it, this background shape. So I created that. There's a few different ways you can do that. I mean, with Illustrator it's really good for doing stuff like this, simple illustrations. Got the hand, I've got the moon. Now the next part is to bring that all into After Effects and do all the finishing touches and make it look nice, all that stuff. Okay, so now we're in After Effects. This is the finished thing. I can't play it back. Like if I try to export it, render it, it's gonna run really slow because it's a lot of 3D layers. Like even it's running at quarter quality. If I was to put that at full quality, it would just not play at all. But you can see that's the animation there. There's a lot of different techniques going on here, but I'll run through it as quick as possible just to give you an insight. I brought the hand in. If I were to play that back, you can see I've sped it up so it's faster. I moved it also towards the top left because that's where I wanted it to come from. So that's the hand. If I go to the moon, there's quite a few things going on with the moon here. So you can see, if I play that back, I'm not sure if you can see on your screen, but there's like a gradual shadow coming across the moon here. Can you see it's darker here, it's lighter here, then as it goes across it, that darkness spreads across. So this is like a subtle touch just to give, you know, the impression of light, you know, moving. So if you can imagine, like the sun was towards this side, the sun's, you know, going further behind it, causing a shadow around this side. So that was there, that's what I did there. And there's a bit, it's like a bit pixelated because that's this noise, so that's an effect I was going for. Then there's other elements as well. There's stars. I didn't end up using these stars because I thought it was a bit too much, but if I play that back, it's, you know, stars sort of flickering and, you know, stars shining. I didn't use this one. I used a few different technique of getting stars. These are all drawn individually. I did something else to create the stars, which I'll go into in a second. Here's the clouds. Right now it doesn't look much like a cloud. It looks more like something like a mist or some sort of, you know, demon thing from Harry Potter or something like that. To actually do the clouds, I think this was the most complicated thing I had to do in the whole animation. There's I found a cool tutorial actually how to do this sort of cloud effect, but to turn out all the effects, you'll notice that if I go like that, this is the actual, you know, this is the start of the animation. It's literally just an oval shape and a blur added on top, and then you add a few effects being turbulent displays, which basically gives it that wiggle. Add another one as well onto here, give it more of a wiggle, more detail on the edges, more like a cloud, but it's still blue. There's no depth on it, there's no shadow, no highlights. So then I pre-compose that, meaning I group it together into one layer and then bring it here where I can, you know, add dimension, give it the shadows. You know, it's white as well, white and grey. Looks more like a cloud now. Did that again there. The stars is simple. It's an effect that you can do is called ball, and it creates like little balls. You can change all the parameters, the size, the, you know, the scale, the depth, all that sort of stuff, the glow, the color, all of that. So you just put that effect on a white solid. I added a glow effect on it, made it flicker, then I made it 3D. And basically made the, you know, camera, added a camera, made it zoom into it. I've got the light stream, which is comprised of, it's same like the cloud, you know, just a grey, this one's, yeah, it's a grey oval instead of a blue one, and I've added a turbulent noise, giving it that effect. And then what I've done is I've brought it into there later on, changed the blending mode, which blends into the background so it's not grey, and it kind of just looks like a part of the sky. It's like you know, I don't know what the scientific or technical term of it, but it's like what you see in the sky, the galaxy and the stars and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So that's all of the different elements. You can see the clouds there. If I was to play it all one by one, give you a bit of a, you know, better idea. So background is literally just a blue and pink gradient. That's the sort of light stream thing, but blending into the background, it looks like that. Right, you've got the ball, you can't see it because it's white, but the ball, the stars are there, the moon. If I play that back solo, you can see that literally with the moon it's just scaling up. So to give it the perception of, you know, moving towards it, just scale it up, and you can see slightly there's a subtle, you can see it's lighter now towards the beginning, and as it goes across, zooms in, it gets darker. Then you've got the clouds, this being the first one, zoom past it, made it darker, add a wiggle as well, because, you know, the person, well, the werewolf type figure's flying, so it's moving there. If I show you the second one at the same time, there you go. I was really proud of that because these clouds to me look proper realistic. I don't know, there's a complicated process, but I managed to do it. And there's loads of different things that you can do to make it look like it's moving in a three-dimensional environment. One is I applied a blur to the hand and changed the focal points between the hand and the moon. This makes it look like, I mean, if I show you now, you can see the focus is on the moon, right? The focus is on the moon, the hand's blurred out. But as you go across, the focus is on the hand, the moon's blurred out. So that gives you the impression that, you know, there's depth there. You know how a camera works, how your eyes work, you focus on something, everywhere is blurry, everywhere else is blurry. So that's a technique you can use just to blur out different things to change the focal point. So there's a couple of little things in here. I'll try to be as fast as I can. There's a couple of little things in here that you probably don't notice. One is a vignette, which is like a dark halo that goes around the, if I can find it, that goes around the outline. So if I turn that on and off, if I go here, so if I go here, you can see there's no darkness around the outline, there's no vignette. Add the vignette, it adds this nice moody feel. If you can imagine, you know, like how your eyes, when you squint, you've got like a dark halo. It's like that. And also I made it flicker as well, because if you can imagine, you know, a bright light coming into your eyes, you're squinting. Okay, so let me add that back here. And then there's another thing that I did as well, is the chromatic aberration. And what that is, it is literally just splitting the channels. Because if you know, like if you know, like the primary colors, right, there's blue, yellow and red in like matter, right? In light it's red, blue and green. So when they're all come together, it makes white light. However, you can split them off, and that is called chromatic aberration. In a lot of older videos and, you know, all the TVs, and if you watch all the programs, you'll notice that, you know, it kind of did split, but it's an effect that you can go for, which, you know, it creates some sort of interest. Like if you can see here, if I zoom in, you can see I've split it there. So it's a bit of red leaking off there, there's a bit of blue leaking off there. I did this using a couple techniques. One is, if I go to adjustment, yeah, optics compensation of 3D glasses. There's a couple ways you can do it, but that's the way I did it. So if I turn it off, you can see that red and blue goes. Turn it on, it's back on, and that's applied to everything in the composition. You can see the red underneath the moon there and the blue on top. So it adds, to me, it adds more character to the whole thing. It looks a bit flat there. Add that on, you've got that cool effect. So essentially that was everything really. I mean, put it together, I think it looks pretty cool. It didn't take me, well, because I already had that idea in my head, it was just about putting it into putting it onto the, you know, computer, putting it into the different programs. The hardest part, well, not hardest part, the most time consuming part was probably the frame by frame hand, because obviously, you know, I had to do it frame by frame in, so I had to do it, yeah, frame by frame in Animate, then bring it into Photoshop, not into Photoshop, then bring it into After Effects, and then I had to do the, you know, the Illustrator mode, bring it into After Effects. Also, that you can't hear, right, but I've added my own audio onto there, which is my voice as sort of the figure. I did a bit of echo. Also, I had you know, werewolf sound in the background and a little track as well. So that all adds to it as well. And then I think it finishes, it blurs out and goes into this other thing, which kind of zooms in. So this is like, it's basically turned now. So it goes dark here. And that's the end, and then it'll come back to the beginning. Yeah, so that was the basic idea of it all. I mean, I would like to go into more detail, but I've got to keep it under a certain time limit, otherwise it's not going to let me upload it. You know, I'm thinking about doing like a time lapse thing where instead of talking about it, I'm just gonna, you know, record me doing the animation, speed it up, and then you know, you can see the biggest start of it to the end, all the ideas, how I created it. Also, I'm thinking about doing while doing a live stream, so either streaming it on Twitch or on Instagram Live, and maybe getting ideas and just, you know, drawing illustrations, and you can engage with people obviously when it's live. So that's my first one. Obviously there might be like audio and video problems, but hopefully in the future, you know, those will get better and I'll improve as I go on. That's it really. So hopefully you enjoy it. So hopefully they'll get better in the future. So until next time.